We are currently in the middle of a massive uptick in Sword and Shield era. I'm talking booster boxes, chase cards, tons of stuff seeing brand new all-time highs. So make sure you stay tuned. We're going to cover all of that. Watch till the end. Make sure you're subscribed. And we will be touching on a little bit of a sleeper pick in this video as well. So make sure you stay tuned and watch that, because that's kind of a no-brainer pickup card that I think everyone should be made aware of. But let's just jump straight into what I'm talking about. And I have to start with Evolving Skies. Now, this box right here, obviously this has been, the lead of the era, and we're continuing to see that. It's just made a big jump from around 2,500 to now 2,800. These are all the last solds as of this recording. 2,700, 2,750, and 2,800. However, all the lowest listeds right now are much higher than that. We're seeing 2,890. And then a few more sales. You just get rid of a handful of sales here, and then we're in the $3,000 range, with the listed median price being $3,500. So these boxes are going to continue to uptick. This is one of the easiest ones where I said, we'll look back and say $1,000 was cheap, $1,500 was cheap, $2,000 was cheap, and this is just more proof of that. And over the last year, crazy 262% gain. It's not that this box is getting to this price that's surprising, it's just how quickly it's happened. The market has accelerated these things so rapidly, it's been kind of crazy. But just insane gains. And you can see, like previously, when we shot up in January, February to around 1,400, it cooled off for a little bit for a few months, and it's just been climbing and climbing and climbing. And this is definitely going to be over $3,000 rather soon. And I don't know how high it can go by the end of the year. It's just been insane to watch. And this set will lead the way, and the other sets will follow. However you want to look at it, whether it's like Evolving Skies pulling the other sets up with it, or the other sets carrying their own weight. Either way, we're seeing massive gains right now. They happen quickly and they happen in waves. We're also seeing chase cards see some big upticks. You can see this is the Umbreon. Market price has been around 1,500 for a little while now, but the most recent sales have been 2,100 and over $2,000 for raw near mint. This is a CGC 10 right here at 2,500. So this has been moving up. You can see there's only 11 copies currently listed on TCG Player. So the Moonbreon definitely going to be moving up as well. Obviously, it's kind of the big chase card that everyone wants of the era. So very expensive there, but the boxes have been what's seeing the biggest uptick. And it's not just the booster boxes. We are now seeing the PC ETBs start to see a pretty big leg up as well. You can see around 25% growth in the past 3 months. Current market around 670, but actually the most recent sales have been closer to 800. Only 6 boxes on TCG. So supply and demand, when the supply gets this low, these prices are going to shoot up. Listed median is around 930, and lowest listed, look at this is what we have: 780, then 900, then 960, then 1200. So we could see in the near future Pokemon Center ETBs for Evolving Skies hitting the $1,000 mark, which makes sense as well when you get the booster boxes start to get to 3,000. It does make sense to start to see that. So, but just kind of wild to see these prices. We had this price association built in our heads for so long, if you've been following for a while now, just kind of where things have been at, and it's just wild to see them move so quickly. And then speaking of quickly, another card that's been moving, we talked about this recently, but I just needed to mention it again. The Dragonite V, the Sleepy Dragonite alternate art, it's up very big. Obviously, you can see a huge uptick recently, 171% on the year, but the chart hasn't fully updated. They still have the market price around 364. The most recent sale has been 500, and then lowest listeds, there's just a handful. You got one at 480, and then we're into the 580, then we're into the $600 range. So we could see Sleepy Dragonite break that $600, which the previous high was around 270, and then it cooled back down to 230. And like I said, now we're at like $600 potentially. So stunning card. I do like this Dragonite card a lot. Great Pokemon, sleepy, good artwork. Love it. A year ago, $134 on the Dragonite V. It's not only Evolving Skies, though. We do have to talk about some other sets. We have Lost Origin that's been moving really big. Now this booster box is nearing in on $1,000. It just recently hit 800, but now that we're seeing everything starting to move again, this is going to be like, look at the listed median, $997. Lowest listeds right now, looks like we're at 840 plus, maybe a little bit slower moving currently. It might just take a little bit more time, but you can see here towards the bottom of the page, we're getting into that $900 range. So this is one that it definitely, when it moved last time, it moved quick as well. So we could see maybe just a slight delay behind Evolving Skies. but this is going to be $1,000 box in the near future. We're seeing the Giratina start to see a little bit of a bounce back as far as a chase card goes, up around 10% in the past month. Now, previously, the high right here was around 700 in February, and it came down all the way to around 500. And now we're seeing it bounce back. Most recent sale actually at 635. So the Giratina is actually on the uptick, and lowest listeds around 650, and then not that many sales need to happen, although you do see a seller right here. I don't know if this is real or not, having 588 copies. Maybe they do have 588 copies. I don't know. If they did, I wouldn't list them at be one of the lowest listeds. I would wait and probably sell them higher. So I don't know what's going on with that. So just keep in mind that that's a little weird. But then we could be seeing this card move up into the $700 range pretty quickly, and possibly past this previous all-time high. I think that's probably an inevitability at this point with where things have been going. Booster boxes start moving, people start coming back. We've seen, so much attention recently on your mega block and then Sword and Scarlet and Violet rather, that it's kind of like, oh, people forgot about Sword and Shield, and then we come back and we go, oh my gosh, and then this comes up and they go, okay, well now Scarlet and Violet needs to come up, and it's just, that's like what we've been doing is like back and forth. But speaking of PC ETBs, like we mentioned earlier, we're starting to see these rise. Now, maybe these were a little bit undervalued kind of overall because they don't have that promo card, but they're limited, so they're still collectible. Sword and Shield, Lost Origin, PC ETBs starting to move up 20% in the past 3 months, but the chart really hasn't updated on this one either. They have the market at $250. The most recent sale was $290. Listed median is $400. Only 33 boxes. Yada, yada, yada. You get the point. So this is going to continue to move up as well. Lowest listed 310-ish, and then they climb up into the 350 range pretty quickly. So PC ETBs on the way up as far as Lost Origin goes. And then before we go any further, I just wanted to talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Shiny. Now, if you are like me and you have been growing your Pokemon card collection, you need to be logging that information and you need to see how much it's worth, because stuff has been moving so quickly, you might not even know how much all of it's worth. So Shiny is a great app for your phone that you can track everything. You can scan your cards. They have an insanely accurate card scanner. You just take a picture, you can add it to your collection. Sealed PSA 10s, they pull all of their data from eBay, TCG Player, so you have the most up-to-date and accurate prices for both your sealed collection, your singles, anything that you have. Not just Pokemon either, you got Lorcana or anything. It's a great way to visualize. I'm a very visual person, so when you see this, like how much your collection has grown, like in the past month or years, it's very helpful to see what's been moving, what hasn't been moving. They got pretty much every card you can imagine on there, so make sure you check it out. I'll have a link in the description and in the pinned comment, and you don't have to necessarily take my word for it. They have 4.9 out of 5 stars, so extremely high rated on the App Store. Make sure you check out Shiny, and thank you to them for sponsoring this video. It's the best way to track your collection. Things have been going crazy, and you need to know how much your stuff is worth. So that's why you need to be using Shiny. And then let's get back to Lost Origin real quick here. Regular ETBs for Lost Origin are up. And this is kind of wild. This is one of those ones where that price association thing that I was mentioning, back here, look at this. In December, $42 in the $40 range a year ago. And now we're seeing nearing $150 with the listed median at $175, which does make sense. Obviously, the booster box being very expensive, starting near $1,000, the elite trainer boxes are going to have to move up. But it's just one of those ones where they were so cheap for so long and so readily available. That's just kind of funny to see at this point. So if you can't afford the booster box, this is what I've said before. If you can't afford the booster box of these sets, but you still want to get into like Sword and Shield in general, ETBs are affordable. And if you can't get into ETBs, if they're at that side of your price range, sleeved packs are also affordable. Sleeved packs will do well long term, with especially when the sets start to get really expensive. So you can still get into Evolving Skies. Those sleeve packs are expensive, but they're still affordable. And so like Lost Origin, very affordable sleeve packs. If that's what you want to just pick up the art set of 4, kind of a good way. So you can have a little piece of Sword and Shield if you feel like you've kind of missed out. Cause we're kind of seeing like those massive upticks, but 197% growth on the year for the Lost Origin Elite Trainer box. Then we have the Aerodactyl V, which has been seeing a little bit of movement more recently. And this is kind of one where I've always thought it's kind of an underrated alternate art. not that Aerodactyl is the most popular Pokemon, but Gen 1 obviously holds a heart in a lot of us older collector, a special place in our heart, nostalgia. And I think this is a nice looking alternate art from an expensive set now. So it's nice to see it come up a little bit. It's nearing that $150 mark, which we did see it kind of get close to back in March. So we'll see if this can kind of eclipse that. It'll be another one to keep an interesting eye on. The 1 year low was sub 100 at $93 on the Aerodactyl. So we'll see if this one, can surpass this previous high. So make sure you stay subscribed because, I do post daily so you guys can stay up to date on that. And then we do need to talk about the Pikachu. Now, this is the trainer gallery number 16. Between this is the V, and between this and the V Max, I actually prefer the V. I just think it's a cooler looking pose. I like the pose of Pikachu with the trainer. I think it's great. I like this card a lot, but we've seen a big uptick recently. Let's pull this chart up right here. Look in the past month. 57% growth on this card just in the past month, going from $42 up to around $66. The previous all-time high right here being around $55. And before that, this was a $20 card. There was a lot of these trainer gallery cards that were probably undervalued for a while. And then you get this just accelerated market and everything pushing stuff so crazy. But it pushed up to around 55 and then it slowly declined off of that to a low of $40. Now we're seeing potentially around $70. So we'll see another one just to kind of keep an eye on, see how high it goes. Lowest listeds are right there at the $70 mark, and then it goes up to in the 80s. Another one to keep an eye on. Like I said, I'll keep you guys updated, but an interesting one. Lost Origin kind of has a deep trainer gallery, I'm not going to lie. We talked about the Gengar and Charizard more recently from this trainer gallery. Also has a Snorlax. Pretty good trainer gallery, honestly. But that's enough of Lost Origin. Let's talk about Fusion Strike. Now, we saw Lost Origin booster boxes are nearing 1,000. Fusion Strike's kind of already at 1,000, and so we're nearing in on 1,200. You can see the listed median price, $1,200 for Fusion Strike. This was a set that people didn't want. A few years ago, people didn't like Fusion Strike. It wasn't regarded this highly, in case you weren't around. But last sold's 1,000, 1,100, and 1,055. So these have been selling well over the $1,000 mark, and they're going to continue to go up. 98% growth in the past 6 months. The year chart is kind of bugged out. It's not working right now for some reason. But 6 months ago, sub 500, they shot up to around 800, cooled down off to low sevens, and now we're seeing at 1,000, and like lowest listeds right here, 1,050 and up. So $1,200 is going to happen. It's just a matter of time. Could happen quickly. Could take a little bit of time. As these boxes do get to these crazy price points, the sales do slow down a little bit. But there's a lot of people, it's kind of easy to see that a lot of these are going to continue to move. So I think a lot of people will still be picking up a lot of these Sword and Shield Era booster boxes before they hit those obscene prices. Like, they're still very expensive, but these are going to hit obscene prices in the future. And then let's move on to the Celebi V. This is that no-brainer play card that we mentioned it. Even with this card being up 62% in the past month, from $45 up to around $70 currently, I still think that this long term is a great pickup. I think that this card is going to definitely be over the $100 mark. Now, this isn't, we saw like what the Mew V and VMAX did. A lot of that is kind of happening because of what we've been seeing from the Bubble Mew, but I think that this being an alternate art of Celebi, it's a great looking alternate art. It looks good in person. If you haven't seen it in person, it's a great looking alternate art. It's going to move up. I think that this is going to be one of those ones where, it's not going to be maybe one of the more expensive, like the most expensive card of the set or anything, but I definitely could see this card seeing some significant gains. So if I had to pick kind of one of those underrated alternate arts, I mean, it's in Fusion Strike. That's about to be a $1,200 box. I don't think you can really go wrong. So that's kind of my case for Celebi. And I think we're going to see probably in the near future, a lot of these other lesser alternate arts kind of start to see some increase in value as well as we see these obscene booster box prices. So I think Celebi is one of those. If you zoom out on the 1 year, it did previously already kind of get to this price in January around $67. So we're not really that much higher than the previous high currently. But I do think it will blow past that at some point. And you want to know something wild? A year ago, this was a $28, $30 card. So talk about undervalued then. And yeah, it's just, it's kind of my no-brainer play. So that's the one where I said stay tuned. That's the one you're going to want to check out. That's it for Fusion Strike. We got to talk about more sets because Sword and Shield is deep, and Chilling Reign is one of those ones where we're starting to see. Look where the booster boxes are at right now. We're starting to see these move up to the $700 range for Chilling Reign. 3 months ago, this was in the $400, right? Last month, 36% gain. Just in the last month alone. And you can see, look at the stair step pattern on this chart. Chilling Reign a year ago, $207, ran up to 340, came back down to 310, ran up to 440, came down to 410, and now we're seeing it at 560, 570. Let's see what the lowest listeds are. 560, 570 and up. So current market price is actually right there. But like I said, it's the median price that is usually a good indicator. It's not, this one might take a little while longer to get there, but it will get there eventually. This is just one of those sets as well. Definitely probably one of the more I don't have this, like I've said it many times, but I don't have this. I have like Evolving Skies and then Lost Origin and Fusion as like my top 3. So this kind of falls into like the subset after that of like tier 3, but there are a lot of great alternate arts in this set as well. It has a ton of alternate arts. I actually want to say it might have the most alternate arts of any Sword and Shield. Somebody fact check me. Let me know in the comments if that's true. I believe that is true. But Chilling Reign on its way up to 700, so that's why we're talking about this. Every box it seems like is making its way up to that next step, and I really like the stair step pattern that we're seeing from this. You can really see it. But yeah, so Chilling Reign on its way up. ETBs, if you want to see an ETB from an older set that's like still somewhat affordable, these are kind of right at that $100 mark right now. Lowest listeds are actually a little bit over that, 105. So we're seeing the ETBs start to rise for Chilling Reign as well. And then we need to talk about Brilliant Stars. Brilliant Stars, like look at this one. This is another great example. Market's at 525, most recent sale at 540. The listed median price, 724. So this is one that's going to be going up. Lowest listeds right now are actually at 540, which is above the current market price, but matching that most recent sale. So Brilliant Stars was an underrated set for a while. That Charizard's starting to see some movement as well, but stair-stepping effect you're seeing on this chart as well. 191% up a year ago. This was $180, and it's just moved up and up and up. 430 previously, came back down to a little bit under 400, but the listed median at 725. Another box I can see definitely hitting that price. It's just a matter of time. I've always liked Brilliant Stars, kind of an underrated set. It has like, you got your Umbreon and Espeon in there as well from the trainer gallery side, but it's the Charizard that I like the most. I think this is one of the greatest Charizard artworks that we've gotten in recent years. Possibly maybe to be dethroned by Phantasmal. We still haven't seen if that SAR is 100% real. That would definitely change my mind on things, but I love him fighting Venusaur. I love the pose and everything. This is one that's I still think is undervalued. Still even at $250. But you zoom out a year ago, raw, this was a $130 card, ran up to 200, came back down to 180, and now we're seeing it at 250. So this one's been kind of leading the way for Brilliant Stars. And then to end it off, we have to talk about Silver Tempest. And you're going to see a similar thing here as well. There's albeit more boxes available. Silver Tempest was the last Sword and Shield era box to sell out of the Pokemon Center, in case you weren't around or missed that. So these were available at MSRP really not that long ago in the grand scheme of things, but around $450-ish currently, up 30% in the past 3 months, 190% in the past year. A year ago, $154 on TCG Player. Seen some decent legs up. This was kind of one of those like lagging sets that kind of really lagged behind, but then it's been really starting to catch up more recently when it comes to prices, and listed medians at 600. So this is another one that's, we're starting to see like across the board, all of these sets are making their leg up. So that's what we're seeing with Silver Tempest. Lowest listeds right now, we actually have to jump to page 2. Lowest listeds right now are 480, 484-ish, and 490. So above the most recent sales and above the current market price. So that's kind of why you're going to see that uptick in Silver Tempest. Let's see how many have sold. 75 boxes sold in the past month, and there's 100 currently listed. So on its way to 600, might take a little bit of time. We do have to mention the Lugia V as well. This card was really, it was kind of like, I kind of view the Charizard and the Lugia, they were real undervalued, both of them. And you can see massive gains, almost 40% in the past 3 months. And the year chart looks pretty good, 124%. You know, wild to think that this was a $160 card a year ago. It previously ran up to 300, cooled back down to 250, and now we're seeing all-time highs. 370, most recent sale at 425, and lowest listeds are actually under that right now currently, in the upper $300 range for the Lugia V. A really, really, really nice alternate art. So yeah, very, very cheap and very affordable a year ago. Massive. We've seen PSA 10 sales moving up real big on this card. We've touched on that recently. A lot of the cards we touched on PSA 10, so that's why I didn't touch on PSA 10s really in this video. And then lastly, to end it off, the last card from Silver Tempest that I wanted to mention is an underrated trainer gallery. Again, still, even though it's starting to get expensive now, is the Rayquaza VMAX. This is TG number 20, and this card's looking real good on the 1 year, 193% growth. A year ago, this was around a $30 card, and now we're seeing it. Previously, it was around $80 was the high, and now we're seeing it around 100. Most recent sale at $99. And lowest listeds right now, though, are a little bit under that, in the like lower to mid $90 range. But it's a nice looking trainer gallery card. And I remember, you know, it's wild to think about like where things are at now. I think I got this card in a PSA 10 for around 85, and it's raw at 99. So, or, you know, close to 100 now. So it's crazy how a little bit of time can really affect our view of these things. But that is your market update for Sword and Shield. We had to focus on Sword and Shield in this one because, like I said, it's been so much of everything else. Scarlet and Violet era stuff, obviously, like Paldean Fates going crazy, Bubble Mew doing all sorts of big stuff, and then Mega getting a lot of hype. Phantasmal Flames, Mega Evolution isn't even out yet. It's out later this month. So man, can't wait to see how that set kind of does. So that's all I have for you guys in this one. Sword and Shield update. Things are going crazy. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for everyone who likes, comments, subscribes, all of that goodness. If you're this far in the video and you're not subscribed, obviously you enjoyed it enough. So hit the subscribe button. I'll catch you guys in the next one. And remember, it was never a phase.